Yo, welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. In today's video, we are doing an unboxing and a first look on my brand new Canon X34 frame set. I'm super excited to get this one built up because I think this one is going to be a very special build, and I'll explain in a little bit. So in this video, guys, we're going to be talking about just exactly who Canon is. We're going to be going over, of course, the frame, the price and the specs, the weight of the frame set, my thoughts on the fit and finish, and then also who exactly this bike build is going to be for. So without further ado, let's begin. So as I mentioned in the introduction of this video, guys, this is my brand new Canon X34 frame set. Now, as you guys know, I have already built up a Canon X38 frame set. So I'm interested to see exactly how this build is going to go and how it's going to perform out on the road. But first and foremost, who exactly is Canon? Well, if you've been following my channel for some time, you'll know that Canon is a Chinese factory and a direct-to-consumer brand, and they produce a variety of frames and wheels for the road, for gravel, for mountain bikes, and also even for cross-country frame sets. And after doing my Canon X38 build and review, Canon reached out to me and said that they wanted to send me out another frame for collaboration. Now, full disclosure, for my Canon X38 build, I actually purchased that with my own money. I paid full price for it because I was just interested in the design of that frame, because that frame basically resembled a Scott Foil RC Pro. And even though I love the design of that frame set, the actual riding dynamics and characteristics of that frame set, it was okay for the price. But nonetheless, after that video, Canon reached out to me. They sent me an email and said that they wanted me to do another video and review because they appreciated those videos that I had done on the X38. Now, moving on to the frame, price, and specs of this Canon X34 frame set. So the frame can be had for about $500 USD, and of course that includes the frame itself, the fork, the seat posts, the headset, the spacers, and of course the handlebars. Now, shipping for this is about $160 USD shipped to the United States, specifically if you want the faster shipping option. And the faster shipping option takes about 7 to 10 business days. Now, the color that I went with is a gloss black paint that is a little bit translucent, meaning that you can see some of the carbon work as well as the raw carbon underneath the gloss finish, which I think is really nice, and it's a really nice subtle detail as well. Now, the size on this frame is a size 58. Now, you might be wondering why I went with the size 58 on this frame, especially considering I'm typically running a 56 or even sometimes a size 54 frame set. Well, I'm going to get to that in a little bit. The handlebars that I chose is a 42 centimeter width, and then the stem length on it is it is 110 millimeters in length. Now, one thing I do want to say when it comes to the stem length for integrated cockpits is whatever the advertised length is, I would say you need to account for at least 5 to 10 millimeters extra, because it's just the way that these factories measure out the stem. So basically, this 110 millimeter length stem for the cockpit will probably fit more like 115 or 120 millimeters. So just keep that in mind. Now, the obvious elephant in the room is that this design basically looks like a previous generation Trek Madone. And honestly, that's really why I chose this frame. I really like the looks of the previous Madone because, of course, it looks super duper aero. I heard that the ride was pretty stiff, and I'm just kind of curious to see how this frame set is going to be given the price point. Now, I do want to be very, very clear here. This is not a counterfeit frame set. Canon is a legitimate factory and brand with a real factory address, a phone number, as well as certifications, all clearly listed on their website. And this brings me up to another point is if you go to some of these Chinese factories and you're looking to purchase a frame, whether it's on AliExpress or even on their direct website, if you do not see any sort of factory address, a contact phone number, certifications, or even just a picture of their factory, then most likely you are simply just dealing with a sales agent for these frames or components, or there is a likelihood that they are just simply selling counterfeit frame sets. And honestly, in my opinion, especially for Tantan, it just wouldn't make a lot of financial sense for a factory to blatantly sell fakes or counterfeit frames just to turn over a small profit. I mean, this frame is only $600, so the profit margins aren't really that high. Why would a company go through the risk of losing production contracts from potential big name brands, all for the sake of selling fake or counterfeit frames? It just wouldn't make a lot of financial sense, in my opinion. And next up, let's go ahead and weigh out this bad boy.
Who's that lady? Who's that lady? Beautiful lady. Who's that? Oh, sorry. All right. Anyway, shout out to the Isley Brothers with such classic songs as That Lady. Anyway, let's go ahead and weigh out this Tantan X34 in a size 58. First is the frame set, size 58, like I said. Now this is with all of the metal hardware installed. So that's the derailleur hangers, the bottle cage bolts, the plastic internal cable guides, whatever. So size 58 Tantan X34, we have 1,239 grams. Next up are the handlebars. I believe these handlebars are a 420 millimeter width, and then the stem length is 110. All right, so weight for the integrated handlebars, 395 grams. Next up is the uncut carbon fork. All right. I forgot to put it includes the through axles on there, whatever, who cares? 396 grams. So without the through axles, say they weigh, I don't know, 20 grams, but whatever, 396 grams. And last but not least is the seat post. This thing is super duper chunky. And of course, it also includes the saddle rail clamps. 254 grams. So let's continue.
So as you can see, for this weight, for a completely painted frame at this price point, especially for a size 58 aero frame set, I mean, it's glossed on the frame. There's a gloss finish even on the seat posts and the handlebars. I would say that this weight is pretty typical at this price point. So I don't really have any reservations or concerns one way or another, but it is just something to note. Now moving on to the fit and finish of this frame set. It's hard to say whether or not I received a Hambini special, because Tantan obviously knew that they were sending out this frame to a reviewer. I mean, they did email me to collaborate. But as far as the bottom bracket area and even the headset bearing cups, everything seems to have been sanded pretty nicely. I didn't find any sort of sharp edges in the headset cups. The bottom bracket area seems to be pretty much sanded down pretty well. It's been faced, and even the caliper mounts on the rear triangle of the frame, it looks like there was a little bit of attention given to sanding down and facing the caliper mounts. But of course, only time will tell if I do have to troubleshoot any sort of brake rub once the bike is built up altogether. But just overall, this gloss black finish that's a little bit translucent, I think it's really sharp. It's nice and shiny, and I think it really lends itself to the overall designs and aesthetic of this frame set. And last but not least, who exactly is this bike built for? Now, like I said, guys, this is a size 58 frame set, which is obviously way too big for me, especially if you look at the geometry chart for this Tantan X34 frame set. So this bike build is actually going to be for a local buddy of mine. Now, he's always wanted a Trek Madone for his dream bike, but for different reasons, he just doesn't want to pay the $6,000 plus price tag for a fully complete Trek Madone, especially the modern or today's Trek Madone. And to be honest, I don't blame him. I don't want to spend $6,000 and up for a complete bike myself. I haven't so far since doing this YouTube channel. So $6,000 and up is a lot of money to spend on a bike. But the thing about this local buddy of mine is he's one of the strongest, if not the strongest rider that I regularly train with here in Chicagoland. I've seen this dude drop like 1,600, even 1,700 watt sprints. Seated sprint, guys. This guy's putting out like 1,600 watts at least seated sprint. And I've also seen him drop me on several climbs out on the countryside. Despite being a little bit heavier than I am, he's basically like all muscle. So I think he's going to be the perfect candidate for reviewing and giving me his thoughts on this frame set, because he's someone, even in our fast group rides, he's one of the guys who's always constantly contesting the sprint segments, where sometimes if he's not getting top 3, he's probably winning the sprints himself. So he's going to be able to put this frame to its absolute limits, basically in a way that I really wouldn't be able to, because I just can't put down that kinds of powers. And he's just a fantastic rider as is. And so I'm interested to hear, with someone like him, with the amount of power and his fitness, truly whether or not he's going to be able to feel the tangible differences in dynamics of this frame compared to his current lineup of bikes. So I'm going to leave the video at that for today, guys. Of course, be out on the lookout, as I will be building up this bike and I'll be giving it off to him. He's already given me all his components to build this up. I'm also going to be including some wheels for him to test out as well. This is actually going to be his first disc brake bike, so we're going to see how he feels about going over to disc brake from rim brake. But nonetheless, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them down below, and I will check you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.